one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the absolutely incredible support of all of my Optibotimus Plus channel members, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Studio Series Voyager class Galvatron, as he appeared in the Transformers Age of Extinction film. A fairly controversial character in terms of his on-screen design. I can tell you right now, Transformium still does not exist. So the folks over at Hasbro had to figure out how to make this figure work. For the package, as you can see, you got a gorgeous image of Galvatron right there. Say what you want, I think it looks pretty darn cool. The Age of Extinction and Last Night films really started making them look a little bit more human, I guess, and less alien, and you can see it really in the faces. Galvatron here has it, Drift had it, Lockdown had it. A lot of those Transformers did. So whether you like it or not, that's what we have here with this. Of course, you got the Transformers text with the Generation logo. You can see the Age of Extinction logo right there. Again, they're doing this thing with an open window. I don't like it. I don't like it. You can sit there and like rip his head off if you want to. That's really terrible. Just close it all off. Continue the art. They do it with a lot of their other figures. I don't know why they don't do it with some of these more retail-oriented ones. On the side here, you got an up-close image of Galvatron. You can see is a Voyager class. Come around to the other side, a more pullback image of kind of what you have here. He's definitely not an Autobot. Come around to the back of the package. Of course, you got images of him in his robot mode and vehicle mode. Big screen inspired, so it comes with a backdrop, and you can see that they actually do have the license, so this is a Freightliner. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the new Voyager class Galvatron opened up out of its packaging and obviously in his vehicle mode. And while I no longer have that original Age of Extinction Galvatron to do a direct comparison, what I can say though is that between the two figures, there are definitely pluses and minuses to both of them. For the vehicle mode here, I really like what they did. The paint applications look really good. He's a little bit smaller than that original one, but that they captured the overall look. The negative, I would say, obviously you got the weapons that you can store, kind of like here, you got little tabs right there. You also have the little missile pod right here. Taking those off and setting those off to the side. The ugliest part is going to be this. Now, in the original one, that was very clean, but realistically, like, the transformation was very, very boring on that other one. Now, I don't know how they could have hidden this a little bit better. I feel like there's a lot of areas that they probably could have done. I mean, you can change it up and make it look differently. They're there, though. There's no real way to get around that. So this back section here, I think, is probably the ugliest part, but that original one did a pretty good job of cleaning it up. But again, that was a very simplistic transformation. It was a Voyager, but was definitely on the kind of par of much simpler transformation that scaled figures. This one has a much more involved transformation, and I just feel like they could have done something with these. I don't know what they could have. I mean, there's not a lot of space that you can put things, and I don't, like I said, I don't know what they could have done. I'm not a designer. I just know that kind of looks ugly. Front section here looks absolutely gorgeous, though. It does have that very kind of powerful semi-truck look that Galvatron had in the film. And it is an officially licensed one. It's like an Argosy or something like that. I don't know. But it definitely has that look, which I think is really very nice. Paint applications, though, I think nail it. You got the darker elements, the silver. You got the black section there. A couple little highlights with some blue and everything. So really very nice. The rest actually kind of looks pretty good. I mean, you can like look at the back section here. That cleans up fairly decently. Bottom section cleans up fairly decently. He does have like a fake chest thing and you know, back area, but you know, again, I think that they had to do some, I don't want to say, you know, corner cutting to kind of get this to work, but there's not a lot to this guy. I mean, it's all kind of like right here. So they had to put a lot of him in this section and not a lot here. So that's where you're going to get a lot of this extra bit kind of hanging out. So it is kind of what it is, unfortunately. Rolls, fine. There's nothing bad about that. Like I was showing you his accessories, he does have this little missile pod thing right here. You got that little bit right there. You can just tab that in. I kind of wish that he came with 2 of those. That would have been nice. And then, honestly, I think that this is meant to kind of like store somewhere up in here. But I can't ever figure it out. But you got that little thing right on the side. Then you can just take this and kind of wedge that in there as well. No, wait, no. I think it fit better on this side. So you just kind of wedge that in there. Hopefully that's not overdoing anything. Like stretching out the plastic or whatever, but I mean, it seems to fit in there fine. So you could do that if you really wanted to. This probably should be a little bit better, or bigger. This was his weird arm cannon thing, but you can see it's just molded in this gray plastic, and then it's got this nice silver paint on the outside, and this obviously just being what it is. For the transformation, though, like I said, it is fairly involved and does get a little bit tricky in some areas, specifically like here in the feet. So first what we're going to do is take these bits and just rotate those off to the side like that, and then come here to the front and loosen this piece up, and that's going to bring this whole bit right here. These little bits right here tab underneath, so just kind of pull that away. You can take these tires and rotate that around to the back section right like that, and then this whole section, like I said, part of it is easy to do, but it does require a little bit of finesse when you're doing it, like getting these bits here lined up. So separate this, bring this up, and these bits here are going to fold up like so, and this, kind of flip that around like that, and then this whole thing on the side is going to detach. So you can just pull that away there, do it on that side as well. You're just separating these little tab bits, and when you get them locked in there, they lock in pretty securely, but getting them to lock in is kind of a pain in the butt. So there we go. Separate all that just like so, and then you want to take these, let's see, get this kind of out of the way, pull that out from the body, pull that out from the body there as well. So now you can kind of loosen that up if you really wanted to. Fold this out, bring this down and around, bring this all up. Take this, we're going to rotate these bits out and around, and then this whole section here is going to come back and it's going to flop on the back section here. Again, we're going to play with all this here in a bit. You can rotate his head around just like that, get that cup up and out of the way. Separate these legs. Now this, like I said, this does get a little bit tricky in terms of knowing really kind of how to rotate this around. So rotate that back, bring that up, bring that down, bring that together. So again, bring that down and around, and we're going to collapse this in, and this little section here is going to come around here and tab on the inside of the tire, just like that. So again, so you have this is how it's going to be for right now. Fold that whole section back, bring that down, rotate that, bring that forward, pinch the feet together, locking those in place. Then I didn't even do that there. There we go. Locking that into place like that. And then bring that down. This whole section then is going to rotate down, collapse down, come around to the back, fold this around, and then this little tab bit here is going to lock on the inside of the tire. Keep that down like that. Bring this whole bit down. That will lock into place. And kind of get these arms out of the way. This is going to come down. I wish this will lock into place, but it doesn't really. This kind of comes up and kind of sort of tabs up here. Again, I wish that was a little bit more secure, but you can just push that right there. Straighten these out. This whole section rotates around. Bring those arms down. Just like that. Brings that down. Kind of play with that a little bit. Straighten everything out. And like I said, I wish that would lock in a little bit better. And then, I want to say that there was something else here in these arms that, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't honestly remember what it was. But, oh well. There we go. So just straighten him out. When you're done, there you have Galvatron in his, I guess, more accurate looking robot mode. I do think that it is a better representation of Galvatron from the film than that original toy. It still doesn't mean that this one is a home run. However, I will say that I do give Hasbro a lot of kind of leeway with this guy. Because if you remember, the transformation was that Transformium stuff. And it was like... And then he was a car or truck. And then he was a robot. I mean, I'm sorry, that was easily one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in Transformers. It was more than likely just a cheap way to have him transform without going into the massive detail of having a whole bunch of Decepticon drone things by KSI actually have to have transformation models done through CGI. So they just made him into little balls of goo or whatever. In general, I mean, he does look good. Paint applications on this guy are fantastic. The silver, the gray, all of it looks really, really nice. That original one, again, I don't have that original one, so I can't show that. I apologize, but that was just not a very good toy and never really decided to keep it. Head sculpt-wise is probably the best. So, other way, coming in to take a closer look at that, I mean, that is a spectacular head sculpt. I mean, really very, very wicked looking. I mean, the design is very much in line with Michael Bay. A lot of angular, alien sort of looks and things of that nature. And he looks wicked. Honestly, far more wicked than Megatron did, in my opinion. But that is a great, great head sculpt. You can see a lot of the molded in detail. You got a little blue paint in there with some silver and everything. But a lot of the details really nicely molded in with some nice highlights with the paint to really make a lot of it kind of pop. Now, he does have this whole fake hole thing. You can see it here in the back. It doesn't go all the way through. They even kind of make fun of that hole in the movie. It's like, why does he have that? It really makes no sense why he has it, but, you know, it is what it is. Now you can see for his weapons, again, this is kind of small in my opinion, and once that gets in there, it's in there really tight. So you can remove that, and then I just have this pegged in on that little tab section right there. But you can see that his arms, I feel, are a little bit gangly. I'm not a big fan of that. In terms of the overall design of this guy, and the, I guess, execution of the toy form, there's a lot to be desired on it, honestly. But like I said, it's really hard to kind of design a figure that doesn't have a kind of real-looking transformation sequence. So they have to get creative. And they did a fairly good job based on what they had to work with. It just really wasn't a lot. Now, he doesn't have much of a backpack. He cleans up pretty decently. Again, you don't have a lot of truck stuff to really kind of work with to create this guy. So things like the fake hole section here in the back, that's going to be just something that naturally happens. It's weird, though, that in addition to the head, I think that the legs are probably the best looking on this guy. I think those come together really very nicely and look very cool. His arms, I mean, in general, he's not a bad looking figure. I just wish his arms were a little bit more bulked out, because that, when you look at the overall mass of him, you focus on, or at least I focus on these, which is very tiny. And certainly just kind of sticks out as like an unfortunate, I guess, eyesore of sorts. Now for some comparisons, I'm going to bring in a few figures right here. Now again, he is a Voyager size figure. And here he is with Optimus Prime. Now, I don't honestly remember if this is a Last Night or Age of Extinction figure, but he basically was the same sort of design and everything. So you can see what you have here in terms of the overall comparison between the two. And just because I actually, again, really like the design of this guy, here is Megatron from The Last Night, who we all know that for whatever reason, he goes from being Galvatron again to Megatron. I mean, I have my theories about why it happened. I don't know if like they put out supplemental information like books or comics or whatever to kind of explain it, but in terms of scale, you can see that these all work very nicely. Now, for his articulation, the head can rotate. There is a little bit of a ball joint, so you do get a little bit of up and down, but mostly it's just going to go left and right. You do have a shoulder swivel. You do got to be careful. Sometimes that comes detached. It's not terrible, but it you know, he's got the little butterfly right there. So you do have the swivel, you have a hinge that moves up and down, you have a rotation at the bicep, you have a bend here at the elbow, and then again, that kind of makes things, well, there's actually two bends there, but it kind of, again, talking about the like scrawniness of the arms, that doesn't help things when that's the elbow joint. So there's that. Nothing at the wrists. You do have waist rotation, which is nice, but depending on what you're doing, some of the little leg bits right there kind of get in the way, but just move those down and you can swivel that forward and back or around. You can move his hips forward and back, in and out. They rotate a little bit right up there. You can see that it's part of the hip assembly, so you do get a little bit, well, it's a pretty decent range of rotation. You do have a knee joint, and then again, kind of in line with the piddliness of the elbow connector, you can see that's kind of scrawny right there as well. But when it's just standing there, he doesn't look all that bad. I mean, it kind of gets bulked out right there, but the actual hinge piece is pretty small. The ankles don't really, I mean, they kind of wiggle just as kind of part of the transformation, but you do have a very nice ankle tilt, just kind of as part of the transformation. So you can get a really good dynamic. I mean, that looks pretty cool. I actually dig the way that that looks. Now, to transform him back, he's definitely one of those figures. I've talked about this in the almost 15 years that I've been doing Transformer reviews on YouTube here. I've always talked about how a lot of times going into one mode is usually easier than the other, and that's definitely the case with him. Going into robot mode is easier than going back into his vehicle mode. So first we're going to come around here to the back section. We're going to detach this from the back, pull that out just like so. Then take this whole back section here, rotate this up, and you can fold this up just like that, and then this will rotate around. Get these arms out of the way, and that's going to go up there. So again, going to move this out of the way, bring this all the way up, and then that will rotate around again. Get those arms out of the way like that. Split the feet, bring that down, and then fold this section out like that. And then these are going to get messy later on, but you want to bring that back, fold this section out, and then these are going to come together and attach. So this part, again, split those feet. There you go, something like that. And then bring this piece up and around. And then you're going to bring these two halves together and just kind of line up these little tabs, sandwich that, and connect that there. There you go. And that's gonna, you're just gonna kind of leave that like that for right now. Then come around here to these arms. You can detach these. These are all going to come up like so. Again, you're just kind of putting things where it needs to go. And then pull this piece away. Like that. And then this whole thing you're going to want to detach. And this is going to hinge right up here. Here, let's swivel those out. Just kind of get that out of the way for right now. And pull this down. You can rotate his head. Bring this back. And that's going to kind of sit right there. This is going to sit in the back. And then you need to take these hands. And these are going to come around here to the back. Like that. Here, bring that. Like that. There we go. Sorry. Rotate that around. And you're going to literally, and this, like, nothing really kind of locks into place here. It just kind of like sits right there. So it's kind of goofy, but there's that. Go ahead, you can, well, no, let's see, kind of bring these up and everything. You can see it, like I said, it does get a little bit tricky with this because of kind of getting all this stuff lined up proper. So bring this up, down, the top, just like so. Then these are going to come around, hold this out, bring that back around like that. Keep that down. And then these pieces come around towards the front. Now, you have a whole bunch of tabs along these sides. I'm not the biggest fan of these tabs. Literally, you're just kind of, again, like I said, kind of sandwiching everything inside here. And this part gets kind of annoying where you have to pop all these little tab pieces together. Connect this piece up here. Now, the one that I really don't like is this one here on the side. It's almost like you have to use something to kind of push it out so that it can slot down proper. And that's not right. There we go. So again, kind of line all these tabs up. Yeah, come on. There you go. And this is, like I said, this is the challenging part about it, getting everything kind of lined up properly. I'm gonna have to clean this guy up for sure. Can rotate these around, and this comes up on this hinge section. When you have that there, you got little posts and tabs underneath there that you line these up. Come on. Get that sandwiched down and in. These rotate around. These rotate around. And yeah, see, you got all this stuff here that literally you have to kind of get sandwiched right. It's not clean, and it takes some fiddling with it, and that's the part that I'm not a big fan of. The transformation on the guy, despite the fact that they did what they needed to do to get it to kind of sort of work, it doesn't. Let's be honest. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's not a clear place to really get these arms. You just kind of, there we go. You kind of have to just situate them to get them looking the best that they possibly can look. But there you go. That's actually not that bad. But when you're done, there you have Galvatron back in his truck mode. Again, they didn't have a lot to work with this guy. The transformation is a pain in the butt going back into this mode. Going into the robot mode is not really all that bad because you're basically like pulling everything apart. To get him back into this mode, you have to kind of finesse things like all these panels here into the proper sort of area. It's not hard to do, but it requires some patience. Vehicle mode, though, I actually think is probably the best looking on him, except for this. But you could probably just kind of ignore that in favor of parts of a truck. I don't really know. I mean, it's good looking, like from here forward. Robot mode does suffer primarily in the arm area. I think that the torso looks good, the head is fantastic, and the legs look really solid. But all in all, this is definitely one of the weakest Studio Series figures that we've got recently. And I can't really fault Hasbro too much just because the overall design, especially when it comes to the transformation, is very, very weak. And that's just because of the way he was in the film. So like I said, I do give them a lot of leeway because of that. Is he a figure that you need to run out and get? Probably not. To complete a collection, you're going to want to have them. But this is definitely not one that I think is a high priority for a lot of collectors. So if you can get them at a discount, I would. One way to do that would be to click on my link in the video description and get them from Entertainment Earth. By utilizing that link of mine down there, you can get 10% off of any item that is in stock, including Galvatron here, who is currently available. Otherwise, he is available right now at various retailers, so if you are looking for him, good luck and happy hunting. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and please remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you all for watching and taking the time to be a kid.